What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Open Door Creative. Today, we're here with my beautiful girlfriend who used to be an account person, then was a strategy person, and now she's settled on art direction. And the crazy thing to me is that you opened Photoshop for the first time in January, and just 8 months later, you became an art director. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So how'd you do it?
Well, I mean, I knew that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Been in the industry for a while. And I think it just took a really long time for me to decide that I was capable. When I originally thought about turning creative, I really put it off in my mind because I was thinking, oh, I have to go back to school for another 4 years or another 2 years. Like, I'll have to go into a program. And so that kind of put me off on it. And I know people who are self-taught, but I think I was doubting a little bit of like, if I would be able to teach myself enough to be at the same level as people that I knew, or on my way to being at the same level people that I knew. Plus, I think too, I mean, you know this, my mom, who is very artistic and went to school for traditional art and like sculpture and stuff, and then ended up not being able to do any of that as like in a fine art sense.
Sure, yep.
And so in my mind, in a bad way, kind of, I was like, artists are not successful. Like, they can't maintain a lifestyle just doing something that they enjoy.
Yep.
And so I had that.
It's a starving artist mentality.
Yes, which is incorrect. If you're like, there are plenty of things that artists can do, like graphic design and art direction being one of those.
Yep. That
is totally maintainable and is a lifestyle and allows you to do something artistic that you're passionate about as a career. So I think it just took like that shift in mindset and me under like seeing people doing art daily as a job that made me realize like, ooh, that's a path that I can take.
Sure. When you went through everything and then you decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna be an art director. Like, you didn't have a portfolio yet. Like, how did you determine, like, how did you make that switch in mindset and be like, all right, I'm going for it? Because I feel like a lot of people watching and a lot of people on the channel, you know, there's that fear, especially those job changers, those people who have started a career, you got to a senior role in account, and then you have to start back at the bottom. So what is that mindset shift to like take that jump and take that risk, you know?
I think you just have to realize that your happiness is what's most important. And yeah, like going from a senior level or like a level management role to down at the bottom again is definitely a shift. But if you are not going to, not that you're going to love every single day of work at your job, like that's not realistic, but if you're not going to work most days feeling really positive and excited and inspired and happy to be there and all of those sorts of things, if it's really like a drag on you, I think you should reevaluate what you're doing. And maybe it doesn't have to be like 100% flip the switch to something completely different. I mean, it would just depend on what, like maybe you're able to stay at the current company that you like, but you're able to talk to your supervisors and gradually shift into a more creative role. But I think it's just like doing a lot of self-reflection and figuring out like, I'm not happy. What would make me more happy? For me, it was like, I felt like I was forcing myself to be something that I wasn't. I was like pushing myself emotionally very hard each day to be more wooey with people, you know, than I really am. And I think that there are good account service people who that's how they are intrinsically.
Sure.
So you should play to your strengths. I knew that even if not every day is the most exciting thing in the world, I'm still going to enjoy even like some of the mundane creative pieces because I enjoy and I find happiness doing those things. I just decided to bet on me, I guess, and just take a chance. The chances are if you're putting in that much work into something, something good will come of it. And it might take a long time or it might be quick.
8 months.
You know, like, I mean, it just depends. But I think if you are truly putting that much work into something and you're truly that passionate about it, something will happen for you.
So if people want it quick, if they want the 8 months, what do they do? What did you do when the mindset was right, when the perspective was right, and you were like, I'm going to be an art director? How did you get started?
You should go watch what is the title of the video?
How to become an art director in a year?
How to become an art director in a year. No, I mean, I think you really helped me with that. I think setting a plan or finding someone that can help you set a plan, because I think it's really hard to get started when you're totally on your own. You may not know what are best resources for you to go to. I focused on, which again with your guidance, which I think was good, is like the basics of each of the the core programs, kind of going through essentials first and then doing a little bit more advanced. And then that was like my core, but then I would also go and explore on my own and try to ooh, I really like this thing that this person made. How can I do something that's like that but with my own twist on it? And then try to figure out what I needed to do in the programs to make that work, which is that, I mean, that's how I started doing animation, even as I was like, ooh.
Because I know we made a plan when it came to you making campaigns and stuff, but I think all that work you did on the side too, even those little things you're talking about, little Instagram posts, you just kept doing. And I think that was really important because, you weren't just focused on big ideas and stuff like that. You were also focused on, okay, I need to learn these programs, and the only way to learn them is to execute. And so you did lots of little tiny, illustrations and cuties, as you call them.
Yeah, lots of little cuties.
Lots of little cuties. I've been a creative for a while now, and she would be learning things, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. How do I do that thing?
Well,
and so
the programs are there's a lot.
There's a lot. They're robust.
All of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of them where you can do, you can do the same things in a lot of the programs. It's just what's the best way to do it. Yeah, but then I learned all that stupid stuff, how to make that banana on the bottom.
That's all you need to know. The secret banana key in Photoshop. We'll talk about that in an upcoming video. That was super intriguing to me and kind of lit a fire under my ass, because when you're in the industry, another thing that happens is you get complacent. You know the things that you know, and sometimes you forget to keep learning, and you're keeping up with the trends and stuff like that. But even when it comes to something simple like Photoshop, there's a lot of beginner intro tutorials, intermediate tutorials that teach a lot of things.
Content-aware scale.
Content-aware scale is the and I had no idea about it, and then she showed me, and it has changed my life at work.
Just find things that you think are cool that other people are making. And there's doubtless some sort of tutorial that will give you an idea of how to execute something like that.
Well, and it starts to get you to think about design differently. Especially being new to digital art, once you learned how to do a thing, then on an upcoming project, you would be able to reference that and be like, oh, I remember when I did this one effect, or I did this illustration on this.
And then that actually helped a lot, because I think with how my path was set up. I was planning on doing campaigns. It was really hard for me at the beginning, because I was like, I don't have enough tools yet. I don't have enough tools in my toolbox to create this campaign in the way that I want to create it. I can see it, but I don't know how to do it yet. So I think my first campaign, and I love all my campaigns on my portfolio, but I think my first campaign is my weakest creatively executed campaign. I like the ideas associated with it, but I think I was I think that'll be when I go and eventually refresh. I mean, either I'll swap it out for something that I'm working on now, or I would refresh that creative, because I think that that was a time when I was really struggling to know how to use the programs. I didn't even know basics, so it was really hard to take this really cool and frustrating to take this really cool idea I had in my head and not be able to execute it within the program. So doing.
And it's actually interesting, because in Portfolio 2 in school, one of the assignments is to go back to Portfolio 1 and take a project and refresh it because of that. I mean, it's important when you start off to just learn how to think about ideas. So it's important just to get that first campaign out of the way. And I know it was tough for you because you're a perfectionist, and again, you knew it looked good. So it was really hard for you to accept that it didn't look the best that it could possibly look right away. But it was important for you to start thinking about brainstorming and concepting as well. That's just as important of a skill as a Skillshare tutorial in Photoshop. So it was an important step. And then eventually down the way, you combine the two. You kept developing your portfolio, and then it was time to start applying for jobs. And I know this was a scary time, because you were like, oh, am I ready?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous when I started applying, because I think everyone gets imposter syndrome at
Yeah.
some point. I think I was feeling it pretty heavy because being self-taught, I knew I'd be, and with the background that I had, I knew I'd be very different than a lot of people that were applying for these jobs, which just meant that I needed to find somewhere that appreciated my background and appreciated those differences. I didn't hear back from a lot of places. I mean, you're applying for weeks, you know, and to just not get down on it because the right opportunity will come along, and you don't want to force yourself, because it'll be the biggest mistake you ever make. Forcing yourself to fit into a company or position that's not right for you. Like, obviously you should work hard in the interview process, and you should work hard in preparation for that position, but you shouldn't feel like you have to like really sell in yourself as a person to a company. So I think as I started going through the interview process, I had that in mind too, which is like, I wanted to feel comfortable. I wanted to feel like it was a good fit for me too. Because I was searching for more longevity now.
You wanted to fit, you wanted them to respect your background, and I think that's important, is to not make excuses for yourself of why you shouldn't get something, but use it as a differentiator. Like, I thought it was really cool how like you talked about your account background not as a negative, but how you know that side of the business too. You're going to be a creative that can think strategically because you've been through, you know, strategy, but you also have been on photo shoots and you've been in the agency, you know, world for a little while, to where that's a strong differentiator.
I mean, my hope would be that I can help be a bridge, because I think, unfortunately, there tends to be some tension between the two groups. I get a lot of the account service struggles. Like, I get the heavy pressure from the client. I get these sorts of things, you know, where it's more of an abstract concept, I feel, on the creative side. On the flip side, I get a lot more of like the pressure and the stress of these fast timelines and give me a break for a minute, I'm working on your stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's just interesting because it's
got to be so weird now.
It really is weird.
So what advice would you give others that were in a similar position to you, either a job change or they're just starting out and there's a lot of nervousness and imposter syndrome going on? Like, what advice do you have for those people?
Be nice to yourself. I think it's really hard when you're starting, especially if you are more perfectionistic, and especially if you have an eye for design but aren't able to make something to that quality yet. It can be really frustrating and kind of disheartening. But just be nice to yourself and keep doing things, because the only way you'll learn is to keep doing. Watch a bunch of videos, talk with people, and just monitor your happiness levels. Money matters, but only enough that you can live, right? So you want to be happy. You spend a lot of your life working your job. So sometimes it's worth taking that risk, and it's worth jumping back a few levels to start over in something that you know will ultimately make you happy. So, I mean, I would say take the risk and put in your best effort, and you will be rewarded.
We've got to start changing the idea that, you know, success is monetary, and that like success is happiness.
Or that be careful to understand that your idea of success is different from someone else's. Because I think people fall prey to that, and I definitely did.
And so you've been on the job 2 weeks now.
I mean, yes, technically 1.5, because it was a short week.
1.5 weeks because it's Thanksgiving break. The first 2 weeks, what's been the early struggle?
The timelines are very quick. Timelines are hourly sometimes, which is a lot, especially coming in new. Because I think I'm fairly quick in the programs, but that's probably something I'll continue to work on as far as like efficiencies. So a lot of stuff coming in, and I think just like anything else, it's like figuring out the brands that you're working on. When I was doing my like personal creative work to build my portfolio up, I'm obviously thinking about the brands, but I also had a lot more flexibility in like, I like muted tones of colors. So if I thought that the brand would be okay with muted tones of colors, I would use muted tones of colors. But now I'm working on brands who are big and bright and bold, and you can't use muted tones of college. So I think that's been like, I have to kind of shift my idea on color palettes. So I'm having to use a lot more color resources to figure out like what goes together, because I'm not used to using like neon pink and stuff, you know. Even though it's been like a lot of work, when you're happier and when you're more excited about work, like I am like, ooh, I'll do a little bit more work at home, and I'm not upset about that. Like I'm excited to go in. I'm excited to go in a little bit early and like all that kind of stuff, because I really enjoy what I'm doing.
I just love that first day you came home and you said, I love my job, and I was like, yes.
It was the perfect fit as far as like people, that there's a mutual respect. They know that I respect them for their backgrounds. Like, I'm not thinking I'm some hot shit because I taught myself. You know? I'm very respectful of the fact that where they've been and how they got there. But I'm also appreciative of the fact that they appreciate my drive for being self-taught versus like seeing it to my detriment. They see it as a positive. And I didn't feel like I had to overly sell myself in. I felt like I was like, I'm confident in my abilities as they are right now. I am totally ready to learn, because I know there's so much more for me to learn in a position. And I felt like we kind of took a chance on each other, and it's a really good fit.
It's gonna work out.
Yeah, I think so.
Very nice. So for those of you, for those people who want to see your portfolio or anything else you want to plug,
my website is mackenziedesigns.com, but with no vowel. And also my Instagram, because that's where I do my little cuties. So that's also just at Mackenzie Designs at Instagram.
So we'll tag both of those here so that you can go check out her cuties. Thanks for coming on the show. I was super excited to have you, considering I love you so much, and you were a very important part of me doing this as well, and championing me to like do the things that I want to do as well. So I very much appreciate you, and I love you very much. We will talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.